Second hour of the show today. So we shall start with our health tips. Today in health tips, we are going to be talking about atopic dermatitis, which is commonly known as eczema. So what is we're going to talk about what causes atopic dermatitis, what are the common beliefs people do know about atopic dermatitis, the signs and symptoms as well, and how it's diagnosed or its treatment. So for commonly atopic dermatitis or eczema it's a chronic skin disease. It causes rash on one's skin. It majorly attacks people from 2 months to 6 months. It's commonly there, but it also gets people in their adulthood phase. So it's not only for children, though that's where it is majorly commonly commonly diagnosed. Those are the people who are likely always get it, that age bracket. But it also is very much common in adults and as well as children. So this atopic dermatitis, or I'll call it eczema for familiarity, it causes a dry, itchy skin. It causes a scaly skin, and for some people, it causes it gets small swellings that do have a yellow discharge in them. So it's very highly treatable. So I'll start with that key symptoms of atopic dermatitis or eczema in layman language. So atopic dermatitis, just like I said, it's a condition. It causes dry, itchy, and inflamed skin. It's commonly in young people, but can also be found in adults. So I'll be heading right onto the signs and symptoms. So some of the signs and symptoms of eczema, they first of all, they do appear anywhere on the body, and they vary widely from person to person. On an individual basis, they vary according to what particular area or part of the body they do attack. So we have a dry or cracked skin. That's one of the signs and symptoms. We have itchiness, that is itchiness of one's skin. We have a rash on swollen skin that varies in color depending on one's skin tone. And then we have a small raised bumps or brown or black skin. Then we have oozing and crusting. There is a thickened skin. We have a darkening of the skin around the eyes. There is raw sensitive skin from scratches. So those are some of the major, very much common signs and symptoms of eczema. So one of the common things is one of the major beliefs about eczema is people do think it's because of poor hygiene, but no, this is for most people it's an inflammatory skin reaction where because the skin is supposed to one's immune system based on how one's immune system works with the skin barrier. So it is not about hygiene at any one point. So and also it is also non-contagious. You cannot. I can't have eczema and spread it to doctor. I cannot do that. So it is not contagious at any one point. So when one's supposed to see a doctor, or when do you know that I'm supposed to actually visit a doctor? When one has these kinds of particular symptoms I have mentioned, I've mentioned. Then when you feel so uncomfortable that the condition is affecting one's sleep and one's sleep schedule, that there you need to actually see a doctor. When someone has this skin infection, you have to look when you have this kind of pus that I've talked about. So all those signs, you actually have to see a doctor when you have those signs right away. And just like I said, in some people, atopic dermatitis is related to a gene variation that affects the skin's ability to provide protection. So that is the skin's the skin's protective barrier. So with this weak kind of barrier, when the barrier is weak, the skin is less able to retain moisture and protect against bacteria, irritants, allergens, and as well as environmental factors. So that's one of the major causes. And then in other people, it's caused by too much of a certain bacteria that is called a staphylococcus. It's on the skin, so it displaces the helpful skin bacteria and disrupts the skin's barrier function. So that is what causes. Those are some of the causes that lead to this kind of disease that is eczema. It's not an infection. I was about to say infection. So it is the weak skin barrier also function may also trigger an immune system response that causes the inflamed skin and other symptoms. So majorly, the key facts about this is it's not contagious. It is triggered by allergens, stress, or environmental factors. For the stress factors, it's actually very much real. I've had it before because of stress. So also it's managed with moisturizers, topical medications, and lifestyle adjustments. So there are particular creams that, of course, have been, put out that they help with eczema, and they do help if they are properly medicated and if you use them according to the doctor's prescriptions. So it is very much treatable and it's non-contagious. So doctor, one thing I've seen about eczema is there is a stigma from the environment. People that have eczema, they face a bit of a stigma because there is a way it looks. There is the severe eczema that has a certain appearance it has on particular individuals. So how can communities do away with this kind of stigma?
Yeah, definitely. Anything that has that people don't understand will, get a little bit the victim stigmatized. Our levels of awareness are not the same. People look at people don't perceive stuff in the same way. But basically, what people need to understand is that a black skin is something that's very special, and whoever thinks that they need to bleach and make sure that they look better or to appeal to a certain group of people, that's very, very detrimental. A black skin is something that's very prestigious. If you move out to some countries, they are trying to do a little bit of tanning, so the melanin that we have is a little bit very costly and pricey. So most of those things come around, of course, because of certain conditions like you've said, but we've also had people that have got skin challenges because of them wanting to appear good, to please people, most especially women who so much believe that they want to appear. I was having a conversation with a colleague and she was like, but why do you make up like that? We're like, how men are not seeing me? I'm like, okay, why should women reduce themselves to that level of thinking that you need to
I think women do makeup for themselves. The only times I do makeup is because I want to look a certain way. It's like
I was giving you a conversation.
Yeah, but I'm just defending women. Like I don't. Maybe
I'm just giving you a conversation.
Okay.
So you need to defend
it's like
this conversation.
2% of the women that maybe do that for male recognition.
Oh my God! Yes. I think you need to check the science. But the biggest point is that most of the victims that have been so much, they are women. It's a little bit very uncommon. Apart from a certain tribe that I won't mention here, that has tourists, and a certain country that has gone into serious bleaching, and these are men. So skin is very, very dangerous. Skin is made up of protein. The protein that makes up skin is the same protein that makes up hair, the same protein that makes up nail. We call it keratin, but of course where it goes, it turns out to function a specific part where it's supposed to function. And we should so much try to go the organic way of looking after our skins. Let people take some milk as they're bathing. People bathe milk for specific purposes. Then they should also try to use.
For what purposes? Spirit.
No, specific purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually.
I think I know fine. It when I think towards marriage for the people from the West.
Actually, they should start doing it on the daily.
And maybe milk. I think.
No, I've not said mozigo.
No, I'm talking. I thought that's the only sign I know it as milk and that's
milk is a very, very, very good thing when it comes to protecting your skin. You should try it like twice a week. And then you should also try to use lemon. Put lemon in warm water. You put lemon before you go to sauna, steam, and all that, which a little bit may be also not that much good. We should do it in the organic way. So people should learn to bathe milk. And then they should also learn to bathe, you get a lemon, put it in warm water, maybe in the morning, you try to clean your skin. Yeah, because most of the things, there are complications that we can't even protect ourselves from, but should be some kind of lifestyle. But of course, the kind of treatment too, I don't know if you've seen so many, we don't have so many dermatologists, the specialists that can be in position to help our people with the skin, Most of the so-called dermatologists in Uganda, they are drug dealers. They are promoting Western creams and lotions and Vaseline. They are not helping people understand.
Have you visited a dermatologist before?
Sorry?
Have you visited one before? A dermatologist?
No. It's a little bit hard for a black man to visit a dermatologist, most especially when the melanin content is almost 99% like me. Why would I visit a dermatologist? It's very natural.
When you have skin problems. I visited
it's
one.
It's very natural. I've not been out of this country for long. Maybe because of certain climate and certain environments. I believe it's a little bit easier for a black man. Our skins are naturally protected. But of course, where instances where we have our maybe brothers and sisters, that have issues with their skins, they should be in position to visit dermatologists that don't visit a drug dealer. No, it should be a medical procedure, and they should be in position, but they're expensive. I know 2 of them, they are very, very expensive. And 99% of their clientele are women.
Yeah, because not women, honestly, because I think I visited
I thought I'm talking about the 2 that I know.
Okay, yeah, that 2% maybe. But
Why do you always have to defend?
Because I am a woman and I know what women do. I'm telling you from the side of women.
I don't think it's a little bit okay for you to defend women from an emotional point of view.
It's not emotional.
Even when you defend them,
I actually defend according to realistic.
But this is a conversation that I've just told you.
Not just, I think it's just one. I think maybe, people who have that male attention are people that have daddy issues. So maybe that's it. But honestly, most women do things for themselves. Like women want to look good for themselves.
No, I don't
real.
think that's true.
It's very much true.
Can I tell you some of the things women do not for themselves?
Others.
Number 1. Do you really want to go into this?
Yes, because I am here, and trust me, if I do blush, if I do a little blush, trust me, because I want to look like a princess. That's the only time I do makeup, because I feel a certain way. If I dress up a certain way, it's because that's the vibe I am feeling. So majorly that's it. So the few women maybe have daddy issues. Yeah. Yes. So we don't do anything for women approval.
Why would you look good and men don't see you?
You see, first of all, we don't. Let me tell you, there is this thing. If men did not exist in the world, women wouldn't even be dressed up, because we are so free. But maybe women cover up most of the times because of, I don't know.
Why would you come up with an assumption that?
I'm telling you, we do not do anything for men. I do not know any person, any of my female friends that does that.
I think you need to understand science, but science says otherwise. Science says otherwise.
Anyways.
You can convince yourself with
Okay, but that's what we.
But women look good, right?
Even men look good.
We love seeing women who look good. Men love that.
It's both ways. Both men and women look good, but no one does, dresses up for a recognition from a certain gender or sex. I've said even men do not. I'm also even involving men. You guys don't do anything for women.
No, men do things to please women.
Okay, that's on you guys. You said it. Men do that.
No, excuse me. By the way, I think we should help and get this out scientifically right. Number 1, the reason as why people live or coexist is to procreate. We are here to produce. Leave alone these other dreams that you say, I want to have a car. Those are just, We are here to live as human beings. And the only way we're supposed to live as human beings is when you are in a relationship with a man or a woman. That's not demonic. That's nature. So we don't have a simple way where, you're going to have a lifestyle that's only for women. No. It's not bad. So we don't want to make people feel like it's a competition. No, we are supposed to live together. So women dress good and look good such that they can get men's attention. And it's not only in human beings, even in animals. Just because in animals it is seasonal, in women it's daily. Do you want me to continue?
Now we are done with our health tips for today. So we've been talking about atopic dermatitis, which is commonly known as eczema, that causes, it's a chronic disease that does cause itchiness of the skin, scaly skin. Sometimes you get a small swellings or bumps on your skin that do have yellow discharge in them. So first of all, I've talked about the different causes of this. It's not caused by poor hygiene at any one point. So let's not stigmatize people that have eczema, and it is very much diagnosed. It's very much treatable, and one can be very much free of eczema. I will show you a picture of myself once when I had oh goodness. Yeah, thanks to dermatologists. I love doctors, by the way. So I'm actually agree with our president paying them a bit higher, because those are lifesavers. But as we shall be moving on to our next story. That's our health tips of the day. In our next story, we have the Pope Leo. He condemned this war that's happening in the Middle East, and he said that God rejects prayers from leaders who wage war, citing that they have hands are full of blood. This was said during the Palm Sunday celebrations, where the pontiff talked to tens of thousands that were gathered at St. Peter's Square And he said that there should not be a war of violence of any one point. At any one point, killing of people, and then using religion to justify this kind of conflict. He called this conflict as atrocious. Yes, he called this conflict atrocious that's happening in the Middle East. So, Doctor, we have the Pope. We're talking about this during the Palm Sunday. Of course, he's a leader. We had a Palm Sunday. We have people gathered, and of course, people have to listen to what he has to say, to his opinion. And most likely, this is, of course, what I would expect from a religious leader: a peaceful talk, a peaceful statement to try and silence this talk. But then what does this statement, does it have any value, or what does it change anything in these kinds of conflicts? And what do such statements actually contribute in diplomacy matters?
Yes, the Pope is a leader of almost 1.2 billion people. So definitely his kind of a communication says a lot. And he's not only a leader of 1.2 billion people, those are Catholics globally. He's also an American. He's Robert. He's Bob. And the fact is that he's, calling upon, he was in position to come up with that kind of communication speaks a lot, speaks volumes. But of course, however much he wasn't direct to Trump, although that we all believe this message was for Trump. Him being an aggressor and attacking independent countries in the guise of all killing their leaders, bragging about it, they eliminated and all that. You don't have that done. Actually, everyone was like, okay, we need to hear from the Pope. Now, unlike any other popes, like Joseph Ratzinger, like Pope John Francis II, like Pope John Paul II, and Benedict XVI, this is an American Pope. He's an American, he's an American. That says a lot. So the fact that we're in position to come up with a voice and calling upon that, prayers that come from people that are so much wage wars or warmongers cannot be heard. And he was specifically saying that we shouldn't be in position to use the church or religious backup to ensure that we attack people that we don't so much agree with in terms of faith and all that. I
think he said that the religious bit is because at a point people were terming this Middle East conflict on a religious basis. You know how it's filled with Muslims and all this, and then the divisions that are in the Middle East, at the different states, the religious divisions. So I think that's where this came from.
Yeah, the fact that you cannot have a sober person whatsoever. You cannot have a sober person whatsoever, apart from a few people in certain countries where they believe that Israel is God's chosen nation.
Yeah, it's a chosen land.
Yeah,
it actually is. I think our chaplain talked about it in church the other Sunday.
Can you please don't bring that?
Yes, let me leave.
You don't take on a court of being God chosen and then you eliminate everyone. Israel has been in position to attack all those countries. None of those countries have attacked Israel. The first countries got together was the 7 Years' War, 1967, when Israel had just stolen land. All those countries are being terrorized. So those people cannot be God-chosen people. Maybe there is some other God that you guys understand that I don't understand. So which God declares one people that are innocent?
That's why we are not in support at any one point.
That's very, very bad. Actually, we should have all the churches in the world calling upon these guys to be, they should even stop using that God-chosen thing because they are very criminal. They are they are savages. They've eliminated people. If you've been in position to see what has happened in Gaza, they have killed people open daylight, broad daylight, and they've used a lot of dangerous weapons and gases. And Israel has nuclear weapons. The International Energy and Atomic Agency was disallowed to go from supervising them. And these are the so-called God-chosen people. I think us being in Lent, we should try so much to understand the meaning of God. Maybe I come from a different world. But why should someone, says, Manya, I went to some church with a friend. Yeah, I don't always step there, and then someone says, before we start our service, let us put up our hands so that we pray for Israel because God is chosen world, nation is being attacked. And I'm like, what? I stepped out. I wanted to grab a microphone. Like for real, I wanted to grab a microphone and put some sense in this person. Now you're celebrating people that are being executed. And you're saying this man of God wants that. What are you talking about?
I think where was that?
The church.
Okay, speaking from my church, our chaplain the other Sunday told us to pray for those people because they're in our
Which people?
Not the people killing like civilians that are losing their lives, innocently because they're not.
I think where we have reached at this level, we should be in position to speak the truth This is a late period. What the Israelites are doing is bad. So why should someone say, let's pray for those people? Which people?
No, the
No, you must
people
start a
losing
line.
their lives, the
Thank
innocent
you.
people, the
George
civilians.
Bush
Exactly.
said,
We
if
can't
you
be
are
praying
not
the
for
leaders
us, you
that
are against us.
executing.
So which people?
The people losing life, not
And
the executors.
why is it that?
The
Why is it
executors
that people
are
now want to make it-
Netanyahu and President Trump.
Why you need to pray for Netanyahu?
No,
Oh my God.
like I've said, that civilians. We are praying for the civilians.
Good.
No one would.
Now-
The Pope is actually, I don't think he's a supporter of President Trump, because he actually also condemned his immigration stance. So I think the Pope is really not one of the people that.
Papa Yabuzemu Katono,
like-
respectfully, Papa Yabuzemu Katono, this message should have been very clear. Because, of course, it is clear, but it should have made it very clear. Because what we are looking at is a genocide. Someone attacks a country, they kill their leaders, someone brags about it, and they've done that for long, and so many countries have been attacked.
Yeah.
And come on, it's bad. So if you can't be in a position to look into this camera and tell people that, you know what the Israelites are doing is very bad. They've attacked Syria, they've attacked Lebanon, they've attacked Iraq, they've attacked Iran. They've done all that, and then they hide behind there. They have a lot of infrastructure. They put up very strong houses. They have bunkers in there. They hide there. They've eliminated the Palestinians in Gaza. They've stolen their land. Oh my God, they've poisoned the water bodies in Gaza, and people are dying. So it's a little bit of hypocrisy. I don't think God can be any close to that level. It's a little bit of hypocrisy.
I think the Pope said it directly. He said God rejects prayers.
I gave up on the Pope's communication because it was clear. Now this is me speaking as a child of God. The Bible says in Philippians 4:14, as he is, so I am. Do you want me to quote more?
Okay. Not you quoting out.
And the Bible says in Jeremiah 33:3 that before I was born, he knew me. So I'm a child of God.
I'm very sure these are very new verses to you. I didn't know you were familiar with the Bible like that, honestly, but I didn't know
So, but it's a little bit of hypocrisy when someone, and I was also surprised. Our CDF was in position to say, you remember that tweet? I don't know if it's his account, but our CDF said that Uganda is going to go and fight on the side of Israel, and Israel is going to be taken. Iran is going to be taken within 72 hours. Yes, I don't know if that's his handle, but he said that yes, Uganda is going to go and fight on the side of the Israelites, and they are going to take over Iran within just 3 hours. That's 72 hours.
That's close. That's very far from happening.
So, but we should be in a position to condemn the Iranians. Yes, you might not be in a position to agree with their leadership and all that. That country has struggled 57 years almost under censorship and strict sanctions. People are starving, but they've been in position to develop their country and put it up there. So why not accuse them? You kill, oh my God, you kill 167 school-going children, and then Trump says, can you even imagine? Should even people...
Yeah, what's happening is very much horrible, and these are the words that were said by Pope Leo on Sunday.
He's a good man.
Palm Sunday was just this Sunday that was yesterday, but one. So he was communicating to people at St. Peter's Square. Tens of thousands were gathered to listen to the Pope speak, and he was able to condemn this conflict and also say that these leaders' prayers are rejected by God because their hands are full of blood. And he was very much against this kind of situation that's happening. We'll be heading into our Today in History segment.
TV1. See the difference.
And today in history, we are talking about the inauguration of the Eiffel Tower that happened on the 31st of March in the year 1889. So this Eiffel Tower was constructed within a period of just 2 years, and it was the tallest man-made structure by the time. So this was made in Paris, and of course it was made in the presence, the Eiffel Tower, it was the ceremony of that happened on 31st of March. The Eiffel Tower, it was dedicated in Paris in a ceremony that was presided over by Gustave Eiffel, the tower's designer, and it was attended by the French Prime Minister by then. That was Pierre Tirade, and a handful of other dignitaries and 200 construction workers. So there is a history of the Eiffel Tower. It marked a great milestone for French and majorly Paris, because right now Paris is, if anyone needs to draw a picture of Paris, the Eiffel Tower has to be put. It's like a symbol. So it was made in 1889 to honor the centenary, the French Revolution, and the French government decided to put up this kind of monument, a structure like that. So, Doctor, what is I've talked about how symbolic it is already. Everyone knows the Eiffel Tower, knows Paris for the Eiffel Tower. Whoever goes to Paris has to take a picture there. So what was, what was the major reason for the politicians back then to actually, because it is said that they created it as a monument in honor of the French Revolution. So what was the French Revolution back then? Wow,
that's a very big topic.
Okay.
But maybe briefly, the French Revolution occurred in 1789, where the peasants or the local people in Uganda, in France. France had a lot of classes. It was a classified society where you had the clergy, the nobles, and the peasants. And 1789, the peasants were like, okay, we are tired of being led. We are tired of being misled. As someone was calling, someone was saying, okay, we are very happy that the Ayatollah is dead, the supreme leader. But America has the biggest supreme misleader. Trump is called now a supreme misleader. But that was, just, something. But France, the French Revolution was against the establishment, the aristocracy that was dominated by the clergy and the nobles. So the peasants rise up and they take over the leadership. The French kingship comes to an end. The king is killed. His head was cut off in January 1793, the queen her head was cut off. They used to use a machine, it was called the guillotine. Very sharp, to cut off your head. So the king was killed in January 1793. The queen was killed in October 1793. And then they go into a series of other leaders like the local government, Napoleon Bonaparte, and other people that took over the leadership up to. Now, by 1889, they were celebrating 100 years of the revolution. The revolution had taken place 100 years. Actually, after the revolution, France got a new flag. Before the revolution, France had a white flag, just like you can see the top of this table. And then in the middle, there was an emblem of the Bourbons. The Bourbon, that was a family that was raging France by then. So they came up with the tricolor flag. That's what you see, the pink, the yellow, and the white flag. And then they also came up with the new motto of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Actually, they celebrate that the 14th of July, even here at the French Embassy at Lumumba Avenue. I attended the one in 2012 when I was still at Chambu University. Now, the Eiffel Tower is a project that they came up with as something to celebrate, like to come up with a monument. When you move to New York, there is what we call the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty was a gift that was given to America when America was celebrating 100 years of their independence. It was also given by France, because France had a lot of architecture. They so much came and studied from the African, serious architects in there. So France also comes up with one that is in 1889 to commemorate the liberty, equality, and fraternity, some of the values that they've been positioned to pick up after the successful French Revolution of 1789. Now, the architecture, the design, the beauty, and the what. Actually, because of that, France between 800 and all that, 1800 and all that, France turned out to be what's called the holiday country. Whoever would think about that, right now people think about Dubai. Human beings want to go to a desert and celebrate a holiday. But at least
Paris is still called the city of love.
Yeah, it's called, because, do you know why it's called the city of love?
I thought because of the Eiffel Tower.
No. French people are the best long kissers. So they kiss a lot. Frenchman.
see
Actually,
that.
abasajja abafalansa ne bajja e Kampala tetusigaza muwala yenna. Bano abalaba e Kampala abagala obbafaako nga ki. French are good at that. They are actually, even the word gentleman, it started in France. If you're not a clergy, if you're not a noble, and you're not a peasant, who are you? They said you are now called a gentleman. But gentlemen, all what they do is to get involved in love, and all that. So gentlemen and the way of, showing love and all that, France came up with the perfumes, all that science is from science. And so France is known for love because Frenchmen are very good at, handling women. But also France has the most violent men as well. So they can choose to be violent and they can choose to be a loving, kind of, society. So you can choose to. Do you want to date a Frenchman?
No, I prefer blacks. Yeah. Yes, I prefer.
So I still have a chance.
No, I don't think, and I don't know about that, but that's what we had for you now today in History segment. The Ifo Tower, it was inaugurated on the 31st of March in the year 1889, and its designer was called Gustave Eiffel. I think that's where the name Eiffel does come from. So this was meant as to be a monument for French to have reached for France to have reached what they had reached. The milestone that they had finished. That was the French Revolution. So we shall be leaving our today in History segment and heading to our next segment of the day, which is Only in Africa.
doesn't mean that you've given birth to a child. Maybe that's how you're looking at it. Motherhood is provision. Oh, we must sankofa. We have a lot of work
Anyway,
to do
speaking
here.
of pageants and modeling and all, we do have one in, we have one for TV1 right here. It's called the Beauty in Slums pageant. So it's a beauty pageant, just like you've seen. If you're a beauty girl, a pageant queen, you can just come and, get the forms and sign these forms, fill in these forms and take part in the auditions, which we shall be communicating the date for these auditions for the Beauty in Slums project. It's a beauty pageant, and with the effect of time, I believe we shall be ending here. We've talked about our Only in Africa segment. Today it was the backcloth making, which is, it's actually approved by, it's approved and recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage, majorly for Waganda or the Buganda Kingdom. So that's what we had in our Only in Africa segment, and that's also going to be wrapping up our show today. You've been watching New Day right here on TV1 from every morning from 7 to 9 a.m. And stay tuned, we have Skilling Uganda coming up next, and also Bits and Bites later on, plus TV1 Sports at 3 p.m.
Q.
What is a room that has no doors or windows?
UG Kids is a show where youngsters shine, creativity grows, and learning feels like play. So gather your friends, call your family, and tune into the show that celebrates talent, confidence, and fun.
UG Kids on TV1.
See the difference.
Don't miss on
He who
TV1.
controls the printing age and the printed page controls the thinking of the next age and the next generation. Oyo yenna afuga ebiwandikibwa ku bitabo n'ebiwandikibwa ku page mu kaseera ako yafuga endowooza y'omugigi ogunaddako ogusoma ku ebyo bye yasalawo ebigenda ku lupapula. Nkwaniriza ku program Sankofa Square nange